Hello. Today I am going to talk about a very profound writer. What's her name? Anne Ryan. She wrote The Fountainhead and Alice Shrugged. But the thing about Anne Ryan, she's so famous for this book, The Fountainhead. Okay, this is a great novel. And I'm going to talk to you about this. It's going to be a book review on The Fountainhead by Anne Ryan. So the first thing is the plot. What exactly is this book about? So this book is the main character is named Howard Roke. And it's about how he can be successful as an architect. Again, it does talk about the architect's life and how sometimes things don't go as well as it plans, and it's very there's different stuff that happens. Okay, now that you know a little bit about the plot, we're gonna go into the characters. I would usually do an in-depth review, but I'm not going to do an in-depth review because I'm just going to talk about the characters. What's really interesting about this book that I found out or it's not found out, but like while I was reading it, there's different parts, and they have different characters for each part, and there's 4 parts total. So there's Peter Kentley, Ellsworth Tuhey, Gail Wynard, and Howard Roke, which are all the 4 parts. Now each part. Peter Kentley is basically he went to school with Howard Roke. They were buddies. He let him stay. And in the beginning of the book, Howard gets expelled, and he kind of like is talking to the dean because he doesn't care about being expelled, but the dean needs to talk to him because somebody else cares. And Peter Kentley also helped ask Roke for help numerous occasions throughout the novel. And he's kind of opposite Howard Roke, whereas Howard Roke is very strong, kind of wanting to be successful, wanting to work on the things that he needs to work on. Peter Roke is quite the opposite. He wants people to put his name everywhere, but he doesn't want to do anything really. He doesn't want to build anything. He doesn't build anything. It's very interesting in how his character is. Tuhey, what I liked about Tuhey is he's a very he's got philosophy, a different philosophy, and he like thinks everybody should work together as a whole, and that everything will be okay. He also thinks that that having no emotion, like when you're working somewhere, is good because then you don't connect to people. You don't want to connect to people. So it's really interesting because I'm working right now, and I kind of have to do that in a way because of the fact, although I have to be understanding, I also have to be like, I can't, always, I have to be understanding, but I also have to, not let somebody put me down because, that would distract my work. Then there's Gail Wynard, and Gail Wynard is a really important character in this book too. He basically he's kind of an old guy in my mind, but he's like one of those bitter guys. And I didn't like him at first, but I grew to absolutely love him. And I don't know why, just because of the the chapter kind of goes into detail in his life, and then it goes more into detail of him and Dominique, who I will be talking about later. The third character, or the fifth character that I want to talk about, she is a main character in this novel. Her name is Dominique, and she is a powerful woman. She's a writer, and she writes about these architect houses. But she's a critic, but she's also like, she falls in love, and there's like this love triangle, fourth thing. It's a really good idea. Next thing, they do have some of Anne Ryan's philosophies in here, like objectivism, which let me find where that is. Okay. Objectivism is my philosophy in essence is the concept of man as a heroic being, with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life, with productive achievement as his noblest activity, and reason as his only absolute. Ayn Rand. So that's basically autism, and it's just really, really awesome about her writing. She talks about that in the novel too. This novel has many themes, and I wrote this a little bit slower, and then when I read it fast, I didn't really write anything that much. So we have, first is choosing a path. And this is in regard to Kenley and the book, if you have read this. They both choose very different paths, and in the end you get a consequence. There is a consequence to what you are choosing and how you're choosing it. The next theme is doing what you want to do. And that is a really big theme, I think. Doing what you really love to do. It talks about how Rogue is in love with building, and I love that he just totally wants to succeed. And there's no way that he wants to succeed his way, and he wants to do that. Another theme is going against the norm. Don't be following what other people are doing. So during this time period, which actually this took place in New York City, and the time period was in the 1930s, and during that time, all the architects were building the same type of buildings, copying other architects. So this really enhances about that. And Vogue was going against the norm. He wasn't copying everybody. He was creating his own image, creating his own building, and stuff. It was really, really good. The next theme, this is just a theme that I thought was really good, was success versus failure. Brooke and Kenley and the other characters has successes and have failure, and sometimes in the novel they have abundance of this. So they have an abundance of failures and an abundance of of success. So, in the novel, some of these characters do have successes and do have failures, and it's really good to kind of see how can I succeed at this, and how can I improve. It's a really good novel. The next section I'm going to talk about is the writing style. The writing style was magnificently told. It was told from when you got into, they had 4 parts, and each character had their own part. And when you read that it was told from that view of the character, but it was also told whereas like you could tell what other characters were thinking while you're reading that person's story. So, and that person's idea and stuff. And it's just a really good kind of thing. It's also very descriptive. When I read the parts of explaining the buildings and really, and Ryan really did a good job with this novel in explaining it so I can really see what it looks like, see what the building is, live in it, walk through it, even though even you're not even there, but you can see it through her writing, and I really like that. Another thing is it also refers a lot of times. Sometimes it will mix and match, but I've noticed that sometimes it prefers to um, prefers to use people's last names instead of people's first names. So say Kentine instead of Peter, and sometimes even in the same sentence, they'll go and refer to that person in their first name. So sometimes, but it's mostly with their last name. But this book is so epic and so good, and I suggest everybody to read it. I am gonna watch the movie, and yeah, you should check out my blog too. It's down there. It's Becca Reads 84 .livejournal.com. And yes, and please comment if you have read this and loved it. I gotta go. Okay, bye.